Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm Hello, YouTube. I am Gold Pikachu. Yeah. For my first video, I am going to be reading the description of fanfictions using the D-articulator. Woo! Speech jamming. Hey, all right. This is going to be fun. Let's get started. Why is this taking so long? Here we go. My entire library of fanfiction. Yes. Yes. This is so weird. What is this? I wonder how loud I'm talking. This one is called Unwanted Celebrity by Crypteria and Ravenfox. The street was pitch black outside the range of the motorcycle's single headlight. Green grass grew right up to the neat concrete curves. No sidewalks here, no street lamps either. Driveways led to gates set in high walls or hedges that front lawns stretching so far in the distance that the houses' mansions really. Steve didn't belong here. The motorcycle was too loud, too old, too rusted, out in spots. It qualified as vintage by age alone. He had all of 220s left in his wanted, and his precious camera, which he'd scrimped and saved for 2 years to buy, was probably the equivalent of a kid's toy around here. Obviously, this is a very rich neighborhood. High society! He hadn't even realized he'd passed the destination until he felt a faint buzz against his chest. He hunched over to check his phone, then made a U-turn miraculously without going up onto the curb to go back to the driveway. And when the stranger finally answered, things got worse, no better, because it was a woman who said, "Yes? Hi, I'm Steve Rogers," he said loudly, resisting the urge to shout. "I'm sorry, Mr. Barnes isn't seeing guests tonight." "Yeah, looks, it's important, ma'am. I really need to talk to him just for a few minutes." "Look, could you just tell Buck that Steve is here? Steve Rogers from summer camp." "Summer camp?" He could hear the skepticism in her voice. Well, there was no point in saying he'd wait here, because what else was he going to do? Down in the streets blooded, get eaten by starving squirrels? I just heard how ridiculous that sounded. Resigned, Steve thought about putting his helmet back on, but now his hair was wet. He twisted around and shaped the helmet to the back of the bike. Strapped the helmet to the back of the bike instead over the saddlebaggers. Very interesting. Read the rest if you are interested by that. If that interested you. Next one! I'm sure you've noticed that most of my things are gay. But that's because I'm a teenage girl. And yeah, another really good one is this one. This one is Switch by Cirrus Libera. So I highly recommend it if you ship James Kirk and Bones. Hey, Star Trek, right? When it first started happening, he had almost convinced himself that he was hallucinating from too much booze or too little sleep, or both. Off under the pressure of wanting something that he was never going to get. It was sublimated, sublime desire. But now that it had been 4 nights without Jim Kirk sneaking into his bed to sleep, he was truly afraid that he was going to crack the Jesus, he didn't even want to think what that could possibly mean, because it already been too weird make any kind of random sense, because really he will not get any kind of sleep tonight again if Jen doesn't show up, and bitter experience does he have any other kind has proven that a Leonard McCoy who hasn't slept more than an hour or two out of closing in on 96 hours is a psychotic nightmare, and he has the reticence right up to back him up on that. It wasn't that he didn't want to have sexual relations with Kirk. Although it wasn't like he raged that hard, at least not on the Kirk scale of raging, which was pretty extreme. Well, he couldn't say that for certain, not without a test drive to give him some sort of parameters beyond his own imagination. He had done enough to know that he liked and what he didn't like. It was just the way he was. Hell, even back when he played ball, he'd been a switch hitter, if you know what I mean. It's a sexual joke. They were both were hot for Leo to be there with on. And he wanted to be part of something, to be able to define himself as part of the dualism of partnership. It wasn't just that, of course, but with having always been ahead in school, Leo was used to a few years older than was used to being with an old partner or two in case of the Andorians, and Jocelyn fit that pattern. But he wanted the stability, the bond, the certainty of partnership, while he was getting through the long parts of his career. The long hours that he put in during his residencies had grated on her, but there was no end to that. And Leo had fallen into despair, into drink, into guilt. What good was his vaunted genius? He couldn't save his own father. See what happens for yourself. So, if you want to read the rest of that, check it out. I suppose we shall do one more. This one is one of my very favorites. Is called The Spirit of Lawrence High by Violio. I don't know how to pronounce that. Destiel. Here we go. Cheers to putting this bloody burg in the rear view mirror. Maybe Dean's just having post-graduation blues, but Bella Talbot's voice seems extra annoying tonight. Dean scowls slightly before joining in the chorus of F yeah! If you haven't gathered already, I don't really cuss. Not because, I'm against it or anything. I just don't like it. I don't like doing it myself. So, yeah. And taking a drink from his beer. Ash brought a lot of Pabst, and it's sort of terrible. Gosh, Dean's such a grumpy pants. Having a party on graduation night was Charlie's idea, but breaking into the school to throw the party in the lab was all Dean. Good job, Dean. They're all moving on to bigger and better things. Charlie and Ash are both headed to MIT. Joe is off to Berkeley. Garth is going to Kansas State. Victor is on his way to the University of Nebraska. And Benny is enlisting in the Army at the beginning of next month. They'll all have plans for what to do with their lives, except for Jo, who claims she's sure she'll settle on a major by the end of her first year, but even she is at least going to college. Dean is not going to college, obviously. Find the characters or something, they're all there. But he doesn't have any higher education in his future. His parents have promised they're not angry that he isn't going to college. And Dean is set to work at his father's garage once one of the mechanics moves out of Lawrence. later this summer, and that if he really wants to go to college, he can always apply and start a year later. But Dean has always felt like he doesn't start college right out of school like the others. It's probably not gonna to happen. But Sam is a freshman that fully intends to go to Stanford in a few years so the statement didn't have the impact Sam probably intended. So here Dean is, leaving his mark in the form of a party. He's actively hoping no one outside the attendees finds out about, because he starts to head in another direction when he hears the sound of voices arguing in the gym, and then a scream! Ah! Exactly like that. One of the few ex-girlfriends of Dean's that's never thrown a drink in his face. Dean doesn't even know why Alistair is at the school. He sure as F wasn't invited, because for one, he didn't graduate, and more importantly, Dean hates him. Alistair! Dean growls. What the do you think you're doing? Oh!
Piss off, Winchester.
This is so fun.
Tessa, are you okay?
I sound like Batman.
Okay, head back to party, alright?
I didn't even mess up, that's what it says.
Head back to party. Haven't you learned your lesson about putting your hands about where they don't belong?
You're telling me what to do, Winchester?
Alistair asks.
Don't forget who was the not too long ago, Dean.
I wonder what that means. Dean, were you his female dog? He gnars a small amount of satisfaction at the pained yelp he hears before releasing him. And here's the metal of the bleachers creak ominously. He goes down, and he's yelling timber! Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that video. There will be many more to come on my channel, Go Pikachu. Don't forget to do the subscribing. I post videos every Sunday, or I will post videos every Sunday. This is the first one. As I said before, babbling. I need to stop babbling. Tell me to stop babbling. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. Check me out on all those. Twitter, Instagram, I'll probably follow you back. Tumblr, I'll follow you back if you post the good stuff. Leave this video a thumbs up and stay golden.